Today, should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? We'll find out on ChillPoint.
Is that like a phone?
In the days of Old Lang Syne.
Yeah.
Who?
Now here's
You know,
a
the
hand.
guy, Old Lang Syne.
Who's that?
Here's a hand, my trusty friend, and here's a hand to thine. We'll take a cup of kindness yet in the days of Old Lang Syne.
We'll take it ex-lotl.
Yeah, we'll take it axolotl yet.
Don't take my office friend. He makes me happy when I'm having a frustration at work.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I love the idea of that. So actually, it's like a gotcha journalist headline.
Yeah. It's one of those-
Should old acquaintance be forgot? Let's find out.
Wait,
Yeah.
is this a Christmas Carol thing?
Betteridge's Law of Headlines.
It's a New Year's thing.
Yeah.
Old Lang Syne.
It's a poem written by Robbie Burns.
Yeah.
Oh, nobody listens to him.
And then everyone, have you never sang Old Lang Syne at New Year's?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I thought...
I've never done it in all the New Years I've known you, and I've definitely not done it before that.
Well, it's our anniversary, and it'd be a little weird if I was singing that during our anniversary.
Really? Would it? You think that would be the weird thing? Like, out of all the weird things you do, that one would be weird?
Okay, but when I sing it, it has a dance. Well, it does.
Paul,
Kind of.
do you think we should just, like, scoot to the edge of the room and watch Beach do a dance?
I need people to help me with it. That's the problem.
That's not a good dance.
It's okay. That's more
This
appropriate.
is getting more complicated as it.
Shirtle says there's a ritual, and that's what I mean. This is a ritual, not a dance.
You
That's what
said dance.
I know, and I clearly screwed. Well, we all stand in a circle. That's kind of what people do when they dance.
That's a specific kind of dancing.
Hey, everybody, welcome to ChillPoint.
Hey
I don't know that
everybody.
you're talking about a dance and not do a dance in front of the chat like this. Such a tease.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the first Chill Point of 2024, we're gonna start pretty much the same way as 2023 Chill Points went.
Oh, I don't know. Usually I don't pimp Beach so hard. That's the terminology.
That's the
for what we
terminology.
just did. They call it in improv. They call it pimping when you tell someone to do a thing that they may or may not be able to fulfill.
Yeah.
It's a thing you're only supposed to do to people that you're very comfortable with. But it's not. It's still not a. It's a mean thing to
It's
do.
always that, hey, remember that song you sung for me one time? Why don't you do that? Yeah.
Right.
Yes, and I guess I would.
This is the show where we talk about video game news. It's contrary to all outward appearances.
I like how much you're like really going for it today, and you're not like. Yeah, you're really pushing for the intro. Good job, Paul.
Eventually, yeah. We also talk about this week's episode of ChillPoint, which went up on the LRRVG channel just yesterday.
Yeah.
You should check that
No,
out.
I did. I remember now.
You were there.
It was the first checkpoint of the year. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it was also probably the simplest edit I've had to do in a while. So
Yeah,
good job, more of that, please.
Yeah, they really knocked it out of the park. Got. I think you did all your stories in one go.
They
this
did.
time.
Here's the thing, Paul. Almost all, and here's some like background info for you, chat. I will get sometimes 30 to 40 minutes worth of content, which is just them stumbling, and not always in a funny way, because you'd see that if that.
Retake after
I'd put that in there if it was funny.
Or 20 minutes of an after show.
And they gave me 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It was all there. I just cut out a couple transitional things and
15 minutes of-
shifted a few graphics around. Like, it was good.
15 minutes of pure gold.
They were like on point, which is weird for coming back from a hiatus.
I even said, I'm like, I wonder if I should do my Steam story just one more time just to get a thing down. And we were kind of like, it was good. There's no real reason to go back and take it again. So, yeah.
Checkpoint is not about doing those safety takes. If you get through it, it's good.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So yeah, let's talk about Checkpoint. There's this sort of only kind of peripherally video game related, but the story about the all this stuff about Steamboat Willie being in now in public domain. And there's been various articles and videos and things made by lawyery types that have more information about what that actually means.
Yep.
Because it is both more and less than you think it is. And to be like, it doesn't, the amount of things that you can do with Steamboat Willie that you couldn't previously do is not actually that much bigger. Because and also in the amount of things you can do with Mickey Mouse is not, basically hasn't changed at all. Which is probably why Disney didn't actually spend, this is, the standard thing has been that the copyright, Disney really pushes for copyright extensions every time Mickey Mouse is about to go into public domain. And the word is that they did not do that for this.
Yes.
Like they were just like, whatever. We're done doing that particular
Well, for
push.
Steamboat Willie, anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, Mickey Mouse is a trademark, which is different than copyright as well. And there's a lot of different terms that get used that are also used poorly by other people who've learned the term. It's like when you learn therapy terms. Everyone starts using them, and they use them wrong, and then the people who know how to use them don't know how to communicate anymore because their terms have been taken away. We do that with copyright and trademark and royalty-free
Sometimes, yeah.
and a bunch of other things that I've been researching recently.
People just they start just gaslighting you about whether it's the correct term.
Yeah, Psych 101 syndrome, exactly. But for other things.
Lawrence Lessig did a great thing years ago. There was a copyright presentation. I think you can still find it online, where he talks about the refrain, where it's like the free society is defined by the free exchange of ideas, and then talking about ideas are, and that's a trademarkable thing as opposed to copyright. But it's like the free exchange of like information, the ability to remix and whatever. We do less of this, we do less of that, and then ours is less and less a free society. It's like very interesting.
Hi, Graham.
Very interesting
Hello.
take on that. And I always really like that as a position of like, well, what is Disney shooting for in terms of copyright protection? And it was always forever less a day, because you can't define copyright protection as being forever. So you say forever less a day, and then therefore that's what they were always looking for. And everybody wanted that, and that's not helpful to how material gets remixed and changed within a society.
Did y'all talk about the name change?
Our name change?
No.
Did we change our names?
Of this game?
No,
Okay.
we haven't got to that point.
Right.
yet.
Okay, you should do that now.
I wanted to defend the not including it in the thing, because there were some comments on the YouTube about it. That when this game, the Infestation Origins game, was announced, that it was announced as Infestation 88, because they set the game in to what they said. They set the game in 1988.
Yep.
Or in the 80s, and 88 looks cool graphically.
Sure does.
Which is fair. And they're like, yeah. And then someone was like, do you know that's a dog whistle? And they went, oh, fuck.
And then all of a sudden, just swarms of neo-Nazis float into their discords, because
Yeah.
that's what a dog whistle does. It calls all the mutts, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they were like, we were ignorant. We fucked up. We didn't have enough moderation on our Discord. We are sorry. We're changing the name. We disavow Nazism. And so my read on that is, you get one. I'm going to believe you.
Yeah.
I'm going to take all that at face value. Sorry that happened to you. Your game looks bad, but sorry that happened to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There was some people in the YouTube comments that were like, these people are out and proud neo-Nazis. And I'm like, out and proud do not release statements saying we disavow Nazism.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a good way to work that into the story. So I didn't, because I was like, this just feels like piling on at this point to be like, also they fucked this up. So I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to do that. And a couple of people were like, you didn't talk about this. And I'm like, yeah, I know."
Gotcha!
I mean, even if they hadn't, it's like not actually related to the story at all.
No. Also, there was a comment that mentioned that it's not just Steamboat Willie.
No, there's a plane something.
Plain Crazy, I think.
Yeah.
Is also, because it was released in the same year, is also now public domain. and someone was like, "Hey, small correction, this is also available." No, that's an addendum.
Yeah, see,
Not a
I
correction.
thought that too. That actually got me too. I was like, technically not a correction, technically an addition or an addendum, but I understand where you're coming from. Again, it's a term that we use more often than we should.
Yeah.
Also, apparently the
I love it
That-
when
that-
my
that
irritations
plain-
are irritated by you too.
that plain whatever thing, the soundtrack was added like a year or two later.
Yeah, so the soundtrack is still
So
technically
the soundtrack is still copyright,
until
but
for
the
another year.
Just to confuse
visuals,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
I love this show. Wait until we get to my stories and I get to tell you what I had to leave out.
So yes, and yeah, you can. I love that the trailer for this game, for Infestation Origins, starts with like a black screen like disclaimer being like these characters are being used because of
They're in the public domain now.
the public domain, and it's like. You know, South Park had a thing of like mean Disney as portrayed by Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Like 20 years ago.
Yeah, you can do things with parody if you want, and
Yeah.
even not even particularly clever parody, but you can. Still
Because
make it
I mean, this
superior.
wasn't even like sort of like this was just the sort of image of a black and white Mickey Mouse type figure. It wasn't even sort of using because I saw somebody do what is actually interesting,
right.
which is doing like they basically made a sequel to Steamboat Willie.
Ah,
So it's not
okay.
like because that's the thing that you can do now.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
that is cool.
It's not just like I can use this character now.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I've seen do this, because it's not like it's something I've been going out and looking for, but John Oliver did a bit where they had a mascot of Steamboat Willie, and they had him come out onto stage and basically cuss and say really nasty things and whatever. And I get it. I get the thing of like, it's trying to stick it to the company that tries to do whatever kind of imagery, but I actually find that to be the most dull, boring kind of bit you can do.
Which I feel
with a thing that you can supposedly legitimately do stuff with now.
Especially since like it's not like Disney, you know, for everyone knows that for decades Disney has had like their, you know, the like was it TriStar
Yeah.
like they've had their more. It's not like Disney is only a kids
Yeah, Buena Vista,
company.
Touchstone, and like all those
like
other
they've had all sorts of like more adult type, you know, more mature movies.
Yeah.
And subject matter and stuff. They've done their own parodies. They've done like I don't think there's anything people can do that'll really. Yeah, I mean they made Deadpool.
Yeah,
Like there's nothing people can do that will shock Disney at this point.
no,
I don't think.
no. Which I think this is interesting too, because if the focus of the company is kind of like, you know what, we got our 95 years and maybe, you know, we're still making money off of Mickey Mouse and whatever else, because I kind of look at like Snow White and thinking, y'all haven't announced anything new to do with Snow White, and that'll be due for a copyright thing in maybe another 10 or 15 years. And I'm just like, so maybe at this point you're like, this doesn't matter. It mattered way back when the dissemination of idea, or like, you know, being able to sell your Snow White was like, we can get another 20 or 30 years out of money for this thing. But because everything, cultural acceleration, right? That it's like, cultural dissemination has accelerated to a point where things get out in the world, a meme sticks for 3 days and it's done, and like that kind of thing. That's like things are going faster and faster and faster, and we're churning through so much content and churning through so many ideas that it's kind of like, well, no one's that interested in trying to make money off of Snow White, because at most you'd be able to get like a month or so of interest out of this, and then it would just tank. And who cares? And maybe that's the point of view they're taking. I don't know.
I mean, there have been a bunch of Snow White movies, like live action Snow White movies. But again, it's that thing of like the concept of Snow White, which is which obviously is in the public
actually
domain.
didn't invent it,
Disney's in the
Yeah.
first place, because Disney's
And then there's the
thing was taking fairy tales and things that already existed and making movies out of them.
Yeah.
but then there's the specific depiction of Snow White from the movie,
Yeah.
which is still trademarked.
Yeah.
So that doesn't change. So anyway, not to get too deep into the copyright law stuff.
Mostly because we can't.
Yeah.
I think we'd actually get lost and say the wrong things eventually.
Yeah. You should.
If we
you
haven't
should
already,
listen, you should listen to people who are, if not lawyers, then people who have more authority about trademark copyright stuff. Anyway, turns out there's a lot of games on Steam.
Oh, who would have guessed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, in 2023, 14,000 games were launched on Steam, more than the 12,000 from 2022.
Yeah.
So it's accelerating. How many of those are good games? Who knows?
Well, okay, let's not try to guess a number. What percentage do you think would at least be a 5 and above game?
Yeah, 13,999 games and Balloon Fight.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. Like, and thinking about the number is kind of ridiculous. Like, how many games? Heather and I have a big collection of video games. How many games do we have in our house? Probably doesn't even exceed like 300. And we have a lot.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Maybe it wouldn't exceed. Like, Paul left the extra 500 off that 12,500. Just been like 12,000 games showed up on Steam. It's like that rounding error of 500. It's like we might have 500 in our house. I don't think we do. But that idea of like, yeah, that's a lot of stuff that just came out last year, 14,000 games, and how many of them are even approachable as a playable thing too?
Yeah, or even like functional as a game. Like I don't
that was
actually
kind of my point.
I don't actually know what if any process Steam has in terms of like, you know, the minimum basic like does the game run aspect.
I feel like if you were to put it on there, it has to be something that when you hit the play button on the Steam library, that the thing launches and brings you to like an interactivity point.
I mean,
whether it's a
I
main
would
menu or
assume that
something.
at least 95% of those games probably at least launch.
I would hope so. But
I would assume like
I would guess that there's like a not insignificant portion of those that are just like either students or people who are not actually like putting up the game to, you know, sell it or make money. It's just like, this is a handy place to store my game.
Yeah. Yeah, they have the servers for it, and I can just park it here for a while. And if people give me $3 for it, then I guess whatever. But I mean, there's a lot of that even on the Switch store.
I guess what you really take away from this is Steam's probably not going away.
Yeah.
It must be at least a popular platform. I guess it's just like a bunch of stuff we already know.
Yeah.
And trains are cool.
Yeah, where was that train graphic from? That was neat.
Let's.
You let
B-
the
B-
train run through the background?
Yeah.
You sent me the link to it. I don't know where it's from.
Yeah.
I do know that the image is titled NFT.gif.
Yeah.
So maybe it was originally an NFT. I hope so.
That seems unlikely.
I hope that it was originally
Beach?
used as an NFT. Where did you
is this
find
from?
I was searching the DuckDuckGo image search for a long time. Then I tried the Google image search, and I think that this one popped up in there. And I was like, great! I need an animated GIF of trains going by, but I need it to not cause like epileptic reactions in any of our viewers, because like there's lots of train GIFs out there that are like 3 seconds of a train going by, then back in the loop, then back in the loop, and I'm kind of like, oh, I can't watch this for that long. I need to be not distracting. I need to be something that's nice. And I'm like, actually, this little animated moment of a train going by is kind of perfect, and I like Shinkansen, so I'm like, I'm just gonna do this over and over. I popped into the Lure Discord, so I get to tell everybody about this. I went to the Lure Discord at like 4 a.m. while I was trying to find stuff, and like, hey everybody, I'm looking for a GIF of like the word trains being put over top of a bunch of trains going by and being like, trains are cool or trains are awesome or like whatever, and the word trains and stuff.
I like trains.
Yeah, does anyone know where that is? People are like, do you mean like the ASDF movie with the I like trains and like whatever else? I'm like, I would use one of those if it wasn't for the fact that all the GIFs are sped up, like they're way faster, and I'm like, that's not good.
I get Christmas gifts sent to me sometimes where it's like a tree with the lights that are clearly supposed to be like fading from thing to thing, but the GIF has been sped up, so it's just this flashing tree nightmare thing that I don't want to look at.
And so what I ended up finding what it was I was looking for. So I'm like, I remember this from a piece of video somewhere, and it's on YouTube, and it's in all caps, and it's I just need one more lane, bro. And so I watched that and was like, this is the one. This is the one where he's showing pictures of like big highways and stuff, and it's like, I'll fix traffic, bro. I just need one more lane. Just one more lane, bro. Just one more lane, and we'll make it bigger, and then we'll fix traffic. It's all we need is just one more lane, and we'll fix traffic. And then he kind of stops. He goes, you know what would fix traffic? And then he shows a train. It's like trains with reverb in his voice, and then a bunch of like trains pop in and out to like the beat of the music he's doing. And I really liked that and realized, oh damn, this is as fast as the stuff I'm trying to not show as well. So I had to drop that one too. So we get a nice Shinkansen.
I like it. It looks like a really nice piece of pixel art. It's the kind of thing like I'm seeing in chat that they're not sure that it actually comes from a game.
Yeah, I think it might just be pixel art.
I would like that to be a game. It looks nice.
Yeah. And thanks again to the Lure Discord, the general people, for making suggestions and stuff. It was I didn't use them, but it was very nice to have some help.
The Sinking City, a place that probably doesn't have trains.
I'm so happy about this story because we covered it like years ago, so it was nice to see a resolution on something we had talked about ages ago.
I remember talking about. I think we did a checkpoint about. I know what we at least talked about on ChillPoint.
Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure there were one or two checkpoint stories because I remember this being a thing that I edited.
So Sinking City is a cool sort of Lovecraftian detective-y type game, I believe.
We also made all those jokes about how Nancon has the image of a snake and the frogware getting eaten by the snake.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's by a company called Frogware, and it was being published by Nacon, and apparently there was a lot of bad blood between them. So they were, depending on whose version of the story you listen to, they were either withholding funds from Frogware or Frogware hadn't fulfilled their part of the agreement. It seemed pretty clear that Nacon was the one who was in the wrong. Mm-hmm. It went back and forth. There was at one point because Frogware took their source code back from Nacon, but Nacon still had access to the Steam, had the Steam thing, and so they put a version of the game up on Steam that was like a hacked version, it was from a Wares site.
It wasn't the appropriate version, and they went through a whole thing of trying to get the game taken down or review bombed and stuff because they didn't want people to buy it.
And they were like, don't buy this game. And then they DMCA'd their own game.
Yeah.
In order to get it taken off Steam. So anyway, they went through all this consternation about it. And presumably there was all sorts of legal wrangling going on behind the scenes. But the end result being that they now have full they're both the developer and the publisher of it now. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming they're not looking to quickly jump into bed with another publisher.
Probably not. I feel like when you have it's one thing when you have like a slightly bad experience, like maybe you get stood up on a date, but like when the date shows up and like actively pushes a pie in your face, you don't want to go on another one.
Yeah.
And they and so apparently there's going to be, I think there's some stuff about the version, because it's hasn't been updated since 2019 or whatever. The version that is currently on Steam has some compatibility issues with newer setups, so they're releasing this new version. But that apparently old save games won't work. Yeah. So they're doing some translate some stuff where you can you can keep the old version if that was working for you, and then they'll provide save game files
so that you can just jump to the next part. I think that's really cool that they're thinking about that. And that they're considering the game playing audience and the idea of like, well, if you've already played, maybe you don't want to have to replay again just to get to the new DLC. Like, it's really nice to see that.
And now they're hoping to release some DLC for it as well, an expansion. So that's super cool. Yes. Also, the small matter that Frogware is a Ukrainian developer, so they've been busy.
They've had
Things have
some
been
problems.
going down.
Yeah, that's still going on.
So congratulations to them. I hope things work out. Tetris has an end.
It's
sort
been
of
finished.
in the same way that a lot of games from that era have an end, which is that eventually the game crashes.
Yeah.
If you keep playing it. And previously, I loved it. So previously, level 29 in Tetris NES was the highest level that you could get to, because that was the highest speed of blocks falling, and at that speed, normal being able to move the block back and forth wasn't sufficient, and like holding down the button wasn't sufficient to move the block fast enough to get it into the right spots. So you basically couldn't play it past that point. And then various things came, people figured out techniques to do called hyper tapping, which is basically tapping the button. Instead of holding down the button, you tap the button really, really fast, which allows you, in some cases, up to like 15, 20, 30 times a second to move the pieces back and forth. And then rolling was the other technique that people figured out, and so people figured out how to go past. And for anybody who has played like Tetris, like the level 29, right? So like level 29 is the previous like when people will stop playing.
Yeah, that was the wall. Yeah.
And it's like that's when it's falling like shoom, 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 shoom. Like it's falling faster than you could move things. Like it's falling way faster than we would normally play Tetris at. Only very expert people could play it even at that level. Level 157 is the level that this kid played to get it to crash. So he's playing at that speed, at the fastest possible speed, for
like 40 minutes or something.
Yeah, for like I think the entire thing was 40 minutes, so it's probably like 35 minutes or 30 minutes.
He starts on the maximum level he can start on, which I believe is you get to start on 9. So he had to play from 9 to 29, and then he had to maintain the level 29 speeds for 120 more levels, essentially.
Yeah, so Blue Scooty is the one who's like the first person to do this on Crash. But according to our Discord,
I saw that.
Their 155 Crash got completed basically last night by Fractal 161.
Yeah. So it's fastest to a Crash, maybe? I don't know. Or
There's and a couple people in the comments YouTube mentioned there's a couple of very good videos that do like the full rundown of this stuff in terms of why this is a big deal and how it works and stuff. But essentially, NES Tetris was programmed very poorly, and the way it calculates your score, how much score you get when you get a line, was really stupid. It basically, you get X amount of score, and then it has to multiply that by what level you're on. And instead of doing that math, it adds that score just however many times the level you're on. And every time it does that, it has to do like a conversion to decimal. It has to do a bunch of checking to make sure it hasn't overflowed. It has to do a whole bunch of checking every time it does that. Every time it does that calculation. Computers are pretty good at calculations, but this is an NES, and it's got to do it because it's, when you go to a new level, obviously you've just gotten a line or multiple lines when you go to a new level. And so it's got to load in the new level and calculate your score at the same time. Or it has to do it in what's called the the vertical blank or whatever. It's the basically on these old consoles, the system has the amount of time between when the CRT gun is going across the screen, right, drawing the picture, and then when it gets to the bottom corner of the picture, once every 30 times a second, it's got the amount of time that it takes the gun to get back up to the top corner and start writing again. That window is devoted to do all the actual game stuff. And it turns out and you only have something like a couple milliseconds.
Yeah, they call it V blank, vertical blank, because it's like the one time when the gun isn't drawing it isn't drawing the same signal again. So you have this blank moment of like it's moving, so you get to have that time. And
so so that's a very limited amount of time. Again, computers are very good at doing math, but on an original NES, at a certain point, around a level 155, and in certain circumstances, it's not always exactly at 11 level. You have to get it's certain things that happen.
Yeah.
The time it takes to calculate that number, what your new score will be, is longer than the time it takes, and so it's basically like not ready with all the new information. It pulls it, and then it starts going into bits of memory where it's not supposed to be, and it crashes.
Which I think is great, because it's that idea of like, it's not even that it's like, oh, well, the code is so slow that the computer gives up. It's like, no, the code is so slow, the computer's like, I got to start reading again. Oops. And it went from the wrong spot.
I mean, if I remember right, like Pac-Man restarts after level 255 or something as well.
Due to a counter overflow.
Yeah, and that's just kind of a thing of that time period with hardware and games and stuff. I mean, for one thing, they don't actually expect people to play beyond certain levels, so if something malfunctions after a certain time, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I do like the fact, too, that it came up in the Ars Technica article that if you pass level 255 on NES Tetris, it will flip over to 0 again.
Right. And the other, and somebody mentioned that, they got a meeting with Alexei Pechinov, the guy who wrote Tetris originally.
Yeah.
And he's saying he didn't crash my game. He crashed. Yeah. Because the other weird thing about Tetris is that there's no, like, Tetris is a relatively simple game to implement.
Yeah.
Which meant that every single version of Tetris, up until, I think, the 90s, was just made by whoever was making it, who had licensed it for that console.
Yeah.
There was no, like,
Tetris company.
Standard, well, there was a Tetris company, but they didn't have the approval process.
Yeah.
And so, there's a million different Tetris games that all look basically the same, but when you're a ridiculously high level player, like this kid is, or like how people do it, the minute differences in like how whether blocks flip like from the center of the block or from like the side, like how the blocks flip, how long after the block hits another block can you move it to the side? All these weird little things.
And that's before you get into like other versions that do different things completely, right?
Like, like Battles Tetris or whatever.
Battle Tetris. I know there was one version I played that was like you make stairs for a little guy to like walk up a tower.
Oh, that's cool.
That was really neat.
Yeah, so it's like, every version of Tetris has these weird. So this is specifically Tetris for NES. Who knows, other versions of Tetris probably have other problems or have an actual endpoint, like an actual endpoint or whatever. But anyway, it's a cool story, and as Beach says in the thing, the actual video of him making it. I mean, watching these videos of people doing, especially video game world records and stuff, is always the person, because it's always somebody who's been playing it for however many thousands of hours.
Yeah.
And then they get it, and usually there's like the pause while they like, I did it, I'm free, and then there's like,
yeah, well, because the expected outcome is the one you've gotten before.
Right.
And this is a different outcome. So I think it actually like makes your brain like judder a little bit, like, wait, what am I supposed to do now?
To the extent that there's a famous, there's a thing I saw about, there's a particular Mario Kart 64.
Right.
There's like a skip that's really, really hard to do on, I think it's like Moo Moo Ranch or something. You like go through a fence.
Right.
Out at some point. But in order to do that, you have to be like in a very specific place, going at a very specific speed. And you have to hit it right at the right angle. It's like a pixel perfect thing.
Right.
And people who are hugely hugely skilled Mario Kart players still can't get it very often.
Yeah.
And this guy who's, super high level player has been doing it. Like, there's this great video of him doing this, and he's done it like hundreds of thousands of times.
Yes.
Hundreds of times. He gets it and then resets. Because he's the muscle memory for resetting.
We've done that actually on.
It's so bad. It's great.
We did that on Rhythm Cafe when we were playing. I think it was Cool Tune or something.
Oh, Choco Mountain, yeah.
Because we were resetting every time we failed on a certain point, and Ian like that got clipped because Ian basically hit to pause because he was just like, oh shit, we did it, and then he hit the reset button, and then he fell apart on the thing. It was really funny and also heartbreaking at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel for that.
There's so two things I wanted to mention regarding this too is that it's Blue Scooty being the first human to actually ever physically crash NES Tetris. Great. That's awesome. There's obviously somebody who has now crashed it on 155, which good for them as well. I guess they got there faster. Maybe they didn't. I don't know how long how that would have mattered or different or whatever for them. Because, Tetris is played at a rhythm. But so it's so what do you do next? The next thing is how long can you play it until it crashes? Because if you know that there is a thing, they know that what causes level 155, I believe, is scoring a single, and he scored a triple. So okay, that was no good. So he had to figure out what the next thing was going to be to crash at the next level. And I don't know if that's an algorithm you can actually do in your brain while you're busy playing, or if he just knew these are the next things in case I miss one, or if he just lucked into it.
I think he lucked into it.
Yeah.
But I think it's presumably it's like a 1 in 4.
Yeah.
Like one of the moves will do it.
Because you can only score in Tetris one of 4 ways anyway. So there's that sense of, well, now is it, how long can you play? And in order to do that, because you might just trigger it randomly, because if you don't know all the things that you can't do at every single level.
How long can you avoid the
can you avoid the crash?
For...
And also then the fact that it's if Stack Rabbit was doing all its work that it was doing when it was trying to play the game, I don't think it was playing it. I don't know if Stack Rabbit was doing it on original hardware or not, or just really well emulated hardware or whatever. But Stack Rabbit got to level 230 something, and I'm like, well, Stack Rabbit technically might be able to play it to the end, because maybe, I don't know if the Stack Rabbit crash at level 230 was because of a scoring trip or because of some other reason that maybe the game actually can't play any further past that point. I'm not sure. So there's maybe some room here. I think it's really interesting. It's run a modded version of the game even too. And that's the other thing. There's modded versions of NES Tetris that avoid this entire problem whatsoever because it handles the scoring differently or doesn't give a shit about scoring, so it throws it out the door. There's all sorts of things that the modifications and differences and stuff about how this stuff will work. The second thing I wanted to mention is something I didn't want to put in the story because I felt that it would be nice for a piece of this media to come out where maybe it doesn't have to be mentioned. This isn't a bad thing. I mean, it is a bad thing. Blue Scooty dedicated the run to his dad who passed away about a week or two prior. And I'm like, that is a bad thing. It's a terrible thing that had to happen to him. And I'm, my condolences.
Oh, yeah, I did see a comment mentioning that.
And then lots of comments being like, oh, this is really important. And I like when a YouTube comment points out something that we didn't make into a story, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing that you've done that. Because you can be adding extra context.
Yeah, giving people extra context is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
As Graham was saying, it's not necessarily because we didn't know that part.
Yeah.
But it's fun to add.
Sometimes it's not really.
And I kind of had this feeling I'd love for there to be a story celebrating this kid out there that doesn't also twist the emotional thing. I'd love for him to be able to watch the story and be like, hell yeah, they're talking about me doing this awesome thing, and not being like, hey, remember your dad died? I don't want to have that happen. So I was like, it doesn't really fit with this. It's nice, but I don't really want to put that in there. So I'm gonna
when you said it was a bad thing, I was afraid there was like, and then people went and looked on the kid's Twitter account,
Yeah.
and oh man, the stuff that you.
Yeah.
He's 13. I mean,
Yeah. It's true.
Do
We all
you-
did cringy shit when
do
we
you
were 13.
think that the T tetranome, it's
Yeah, the T piece, tetramino.
tetramino.
Yeah.
Do you think the T piece counts as a T pose?
I mean, it is pretty. It does
think
a
every
certain
time it comes into the game, it counts as a T
It's just
pose.
T-posed.
tetramino, yeah. It does assert dominance. That T piece can be quite
It
scary.
is one of the
like it so much.
best pieces you can get. Like the straight 4 piece is pretty good, but only if you have everything lined up for it.
I
right?
mean, if I played a game of Tetris that was nothing but straight lines, I would dominate. But also, I would be very happy with that. I think
Sure,
that's what
sure.
that
But
makes that
what
my
I'm
favorite
saying
piece.
is-
But my second favorite piece is the T piece.
I'm saying is that the straight piece only works so everything lines up for it.
Yeah.
But like the T piece has like all this additional maneuverability and like places you can put it to get you out of problems that have been created by other pieces.
Yeah. The square piece I don't like at all, but it is because it's the most boring piece, and B, it creates more problems than it solves, I think.
I do not have strong feelings about any
You don't,
Tetris pieces.
you don't have a tier list for your favorite Tetris pieces?
I never really got like. I mean, I played Tetris, but I haven't gotten like super into
Oh,
Tetris.
Paul, let
Okay.
me tell you, I like the backwards L more than I like the frontwards L.
Here's how
I
you
don't know why that
here's
is.
how you tier list your Tetris pieces. If I were to make all of them out of fabric, which one would you like to be in a sleeping bag? Like that's the sleeping bag piece you have to be in.
Oh,
Now you might say the straight one makes the most sense because it's already sleeping bag shaped.
Yes.
However, if you go with something like one of the L pieces, you have a fun little place for your feet to hang out
or a little hood.
or a little hood.
Or if you pick
Right.
an S or a Z piece, then you can kind of stay
It's
in the
all
fetal
about your
position.
perspective of how you want to if you want to do this tier list.
Or maybe you sleep like this. And you want the, you
Well,
want the
maybe you
piece.
don't, but then you have an arm place where you can like poke out your arms so that you can get things.
Oh, it's like a snuggie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, the arm piece, then it would have to be near your waist. If you're going to go in the long way, 3 blocks, it's going to be like down here that you have this like area where you can keep like an air fryer.
But now you're thinking about it. So my job is done.
Yep.
And then there's a Minecraft movie, which isn't actually news because they've talked about there being a Minecraft movie for a long time. And it keeps changing who's associated with it.
So there'll be a Minecraft movie when one actually comes out and we believe it. Is that where we're going with this?
But the new information is that apparently Jack Black is going to be playing Steve in
Yeah.
the Minecraft movie. And we're not talking animated Minecraft movie.
It's a live action.
We're talking live action, which I don't
Okay.
quite know how
So,
that works, but
the Sonic movies are technically live action as well.
I suppose.
So we could go that route, or we could go the Jumanji route. Maybe he gets sucked into Minecraft.
Hell yeah.
Because it seems like the thing that about Minecraft that's actually like interesting and unique as a game is the world being all cubes.
Yeah.
So like, I guess so. It seems like the world has to be CG,
Yeah.
but
That's-
who knows?
But they're
That's
saying it's
gonna
live
be-
action, but he's the voice of Steve. And like, you don't do that. You don't have a live action person playing Steve and then have someone voicing Steve.
I mean,
You have
it has
to-
been done.
Well, it feels like you're gonna have like there's gonna be interaction between it's gonna be Roger Rabbit. It's gonna be interaction
be.
between the CG world
Oh,
and live
maybe.
world.
Again, that's still Sonic.
Yeah.
Like that's modern day Sonic. I mean, maybe that's a good thing because I know that within actors, they like to sometimes make them work out or do whatever to obtain specific body shapes in order to do stuff. And I just don't know how
Jack Black.
people make themselves that cube.
Yeah, Jack Black. We need you to work out to make yourself more
Like,
cube.
I'm just not quite sure how that works. And I feel like I'd feel bad about it.
All right. Well, let's talk about stuff that didn't make it into the episode. Like, for instance, Tekken 8 has a whole bunch of accessibility things, which is great. You know, we talk about that on the show.
It seems like fighting games are really pushing for that a lot more too, which is
Yeah,
great to
yeah.
see.
One of them is sort of a colorblind mode, which
Okay.
people are questioning whether it's actually something that would be useful for people,
Oh, okay.
because it is like this.
I wouldn't have thought this.
Oh, wow.
Like colorblind modes are often, you know, using patterns instead of colors, but
Yeah,
I
but-
don't think this is the way to do it.
This is actually really hard for me to look at
Yeah.
because I don't do, especially thinner lines close together very well.
I mean, this seems like cool.
I like the background in this method, but I don't like the fighters themselves this way.
Yeah, it's got a bit of that, like, yeah, the take on me background going on.
It's funny because when I see this, what I'm picturing is how they do patterns in anime and manga, where they take the piece of tone, they take the screen tone, they cut out the bits that they need, but they don't draw in the pattern, right? So if you have a plaid skirt, they don't draw in the pattern of the plaid. What they do is they take a piece of plaid tone and they cut it out and they put it on the thing, and they're like, right, and they're going to make sure that it's the same orientation every single time, regardless of how the person is standing and doing stuff, which is incredibly distracting.
That
But
looked
it becomes a thing, and I'm like, right, those lines never change position. They don't move. They're always in the same spot. They're not moving with the character. It's not like the person's wearing a lined suit. It's that they are a silhouette moving through a lined thing.
Right.
And I think that's
Yeah.
what's causing the problem.
I mean,
Yeah, Stan from
They-
Monkey Island,
Yeah.
famously.
like I don't want to disparage it if that's actually a thing that is useful for people who are colorblind, but did they ask anyone who is?
That apparently is a mode. There are others.
Okay, good.
But yeah,
It just looks
They have to do
like
it
I can't see
um,
anything all of a sudden.
They have to do it like the Count of Monte Cristo anime. Oh, somebody got there with me. Thank you. Awesome, Morgan.
Oh,
I love-
that's right.
That thing was hard to watch.
That's right. They had the background being whatever, and people just basically walked over it, and their clothes shifted with the background thing. It was really weird.
Yeah.
what I like about Stan from Monkey Island, he's the used boat seller, and he in the games he's always been has like a plaid jacket, and yeah,
Right.
it doesn't move. But those were, you know, when it was like sprite based, and then when it went to 3D, they like specially made him so that his jacket would not work still.
Yeah.
Whereas it would have been easier to actually just give him a
Yes.
plaid jacket.
Yep.
So Chattel's saying that mode was actually for low visibility, not color blindness, and that
Ah,
that actually
okay.
makes a lot more sense to me. Because I don't know how you would do that for color blindness, but in
Yeah.
terms of like low visibility,
So people are using that mode because they think it's supposed to help with color blindness, but that's not actually what it was for.
Oh,
But it's
okay.
causing migraines and vertigo and yeah.
So maybe make sure the settings are set to what you want. There's some more spiffy Nintendo Lego.
I thought the Bowser would look a little more
Bowser's Muscle Car,
good car.
which
car's good.
I did not play this game in which Bowser had a muscle car. It's Super Mario 3D World apparently.
Yeah.
And it's a I
Is that
like
for the Switch, which
It was on Wii U, but it also came out for the Switch. It's the one that has Bowser's Fury in it.
Oh, I don't remember the car.
I like that that Bowser is a what do they refer to him as?
A terrible turtle.
A brick built figure. of
Yes.
Bowser. Like it's not like a minifig of Bowser. It's
Yeah.
a brick built figure of Bowser.
Or it's not like the Super Mario figure where it's like it's a flat piece and it has Mario's face on it, which is kind of what I would assume they would do for Bowser. They're like, no, he's a construction. He's not just three things you pop together.
And this does also this also fits with the oh sorry, was music playing? Oh,
Oh, there's an ad going on.
This
oops,
one.
wrong one. Sorry about that. We can't hear. Oh, visual noise. Anyway, so apparently it also works with the those other
Oh, the
Yeah.
Mario Lego
It has an
set
action
stuff.
tag.
And
yeah, there's those sort of yeah, they have like voice cues and stuff.
I would have assumed this was a reference to Mario Kart and not Mario 3D World, but yeah, because it looks like Warren's car.
It certainly doesn't look like Bowser's car.
No.
That's why, like, when I saw that art thing, I was like, his hot rod, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, that hot rod that we all know Bowser, like that.
Like how Spider-Man in the 80s had a
But that's-
car as well.
this is the thing. I played that game. I don't remember that car.
Yeah.
Super iconic.
Now we talked about this before. Portal 64,
Yeah.
the this demake, incredibly amazingly sophisticated demake of Portal for the N64. So somebody has remade Portal on the N64, has been released, or at least the first half of it has been released.
So the portal that lets you go out, but not the portable that lets you come in.
Yeah. You just walk into a wall and you're gone.
He calls it the first slice. And yeah, he even has like Cave Johnson voice
Oh,
that
good.
that drops in, which is AI generated
Yeah.
from thing, but
You're not really going to get J.K. Simmons to do your lines for you. I mean, if he had convinced, maybe if Valve saw this was like, oh, that looks funny as hell. Yeah, we'll totally back that. Then maybe he could have got there. But
there's some amazing and then there's some neat YouTube videos and information about the trickiness that went into, because of course the big thing with Portal is the portals. That was the big and how they this idea of basically you have to render the same room from multiple different perspectives so that you can be like looking at yourself through a portal. And so it can, which obviously you're doing a ton, is a ton of work for a system to do. And, N64 was not terribly sophisticated in that regard, especially in terms of like 3D stuff. So the optimizations that this guy was able to do to make it work on the N64 was pretty cool.
mm-hmm.
Do you like City of Heroes? You should.
Wait, City of Heroes.
You
I
should
remember that
probably
name.
take
I mean,
your-
I know that I know of
Should
the
probably take your
story,
back
but,
medicine, but
But I actually don't know this game at all.
sorry.
Is it a comic book thing?
It is a MMO where you play a superhero, and it was quite popular
Back in the when I was 20 years old. Yes.
back in the day.
Something
But so
90s?
NC Soft is the company that ran it, and unfortunately, as is the case with many MMOs, it got to the point where it was not viable to keep the servers going.
Yeah.
And so they're shutting it down. But it had a very large community and a large fan community, and people kept it going with sort of fan servers and things. And then in 2019, there was a leak of the actual code for the original game.
Right.
And so a server called Homecoming was developed and put forward so that there was like fully compatible
Right.
with people's characters, and so people could keep playing. And the Homecoming server has been running for a couple of years now, and has included quality of life. They've they've actually like added quality of life things
Yeah.
and updated things.
They're like fan funded, aren't they?
Yeah,
well.
yeah. It's free to play on. They do donations and stuff. But like any of these kind of things, they've been kind of operating in that they haven't told us that we can't do it, but technically,
If anyone found out,
it's
and
using
wanted
somebody
to,
else's
could,
IP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they could lower the boom on them whenever they wanted. But now they have apparently been in talks. We've had really productive, positive and productive relationship with NCSoft for over 4 years now. We don't anticipate there being any issues, and they've actually gotten the sort of the blessing.
Kind of like received a license.
Yeah,
really.
I think NCSoft theoretically could go back on that at some point, but they have received blessings to continue development and hosting the server.
Yeah, I think stories I've seen have said that they have an actual license.
Yeah. And it's like you can now run your server.
I know license usually has restrictions or like an end date or needs renewal and stuff as well. So that's how you have that like.
And yeah,
Yeah.
NCSoft has officially granted Homecoming a license to host City of Heroes. So your accounts and characters are safe. Development can continue. It will continue to be completely free. We continue to be funded entirely through donations. So super cool. If you've got an old City of Heroes character, you can dust it off. Apparently, one of the other problems with that they had with City of Heroes is that it was difficult to stop people from making other people's copyright. Everyone wanted to be whatever Spider-Man or Wolverine or whatever,
Right.
and they're like, you can't make a superhero that is like somebody else's copyrighted thing. So they had to. There's some difficult moderation that they had to do around that.
Yeah.
That sounds rough.
You know what's really rough?
Oh God.
Making breakfast in the morning. But luckily, Breakfast
Is this
of
official?
Champions, and officially licensed. You can get your officially licensed Xbox Series X toaster, Series S toaster.
Series S.
Well, that's what it's based
Yeah.
based on.
Based on that one.
So you have an X fridge and you get an S toaster to go with it.
It toasts an Xbox logo
Good.
into the bread.
Glad to see it. It would have been that looks
I
like
was
a
a-
miserable Photoshop that you're showing us, Paul.
I know. I was 100% sure that this was either like a Photoshop or just like some goofy fan
No,
project.
I want more of these.
This is officially licensed.
I was kind
It
of
costs
hoping...
$40.
Oh, that's a lot for a toaster. I was kind of hoping this was going to be like somebody's mod project that they'd taken their Xbox and like basically gutted it and made it into a toaster.
I'm sure the day is coming that someone's going to develop a toaster that's like a fan toaster of some sort, right? It's like, so here's what you can do is it what we sell special plates that you can drop into your toaster so that it will it will do different designs onto your toast depending on what it is you want to do, and a different one on each side. And so you buy the toaster, you have that for the rest of your life, and you buy the plates to drop in. So as your needs change, as your kid stops liking Frozen and starts liking Shrek, you can drop in the Shrek ones and make Shrek toast for them in the morning if that's what you want to do.
I mean, usually what they do is they do the pancake maker or the waffle maker
Yes.
that like does a specific shape or puts in a image.
There
But,
are
like this is going for an aesthetic that
Yeah.
sits on your. I feel that like things like this though, if they become more popular. You remember Unpacking had that problem where people didn't know what the GameCube was because nothing's labeled, so
Right.
they kept trying to put it in the kitchen. Although this is legitimizing putting your game consoles in your kitchen.
Hell yeah.
It's true. and then you're like, wait, which one do I plug into the TV, and which one do I put my bread in? And then you get the like CD slot in your. Oh no, wait, this one is online is it's got no C. I don't think this one has a CD slot.
I just thought of the worst thing ever, because this is totally the kind of thing my parents would have done. Is they would have bought this instead of the thing I actually wanted, and they would have stuck it by the TV. That's the kind of shit they pulled.
Oh,
there are definitely going to be people who do that.
that's so miserable.
As a joke.
Yeah.
Or because that they actually thought that was the console.
No, as a joke towards their kids.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because,
and they won't have
I've
the real
seen the
thing
video.
waiting anywhere else. They'll just literally have this.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. I hate parents sometimes. They're like the worst Instagram people.
And I believe, finally, Trivial Pursuit
Okay.
has
Okay.
a new thing,
Like,
a new version of Trivial Pursuit,
Okay.
where it's sort of, this article says it's like Wordle inspired, in this, but to me that just, I think they're using that to mean just like, it's like a daily challenge
Okay,
thing
good,
where you have to do
because
like,
Because I would use
Wow,
Wordle
Polygon.
I would use Wordle as more of a, so there's like letters and stuff I have to rearrange and mess around with.
Yeah.
Right? That's
yeah.
more than a daily.
So there's two parts to this. There's trivialpursuit.com, which was launched yesterday, which apparently was National Trivia Day.
All right.
Why did no one of us know that?
Little piece of trivia. I feel like they should move National Trivia Day every year so that when it is now a new piece of trivia for every year. With the so every day there's like 5 challenge. There's like 6, and they're like rapid fire questions. Ideally, I guess, so that you can't Google it easily.
Okay. Yeah.
But then there's also Trivial Pursuit Infinite, which are questions split into different categories, and they are apparently either partially or entirely like AI generated questions. So you can be like, ask me questions about
No,
goat.
no. We
Goats.
already know that AI is bad with fact checking and stuff. This just means that I'm going to be worse at trivia because the stuff that I know is true will be wrong, and the stuff that I know that I think is true will also be wrong. But then I'll think it's true. No.
Yeah, so you could just enter a topic and then it'll ask you weird questions about that topic, which
I already have friends that are like that. I don't need a video game.
is that thing where it's like I feel like for most purposes that it could actually work reasonably well, in the sense that, like, sure, AI can get facts wrong, but so can people.
True.
And it's probably just basically, it's using the corpus of information it has, like Wikipedia. So it's like, but then
You would hope
as you
that-
get into the more sort of esoteric stuff.
The line that kills me is Hasbro hopes that players will rate its AI-generated questions and report any issues there in an attempt to improve its trivia bot. So here's my problem. They've released, it is free. They've released this thing.
Yeah.
I have no idea if there's ads on
So
it
is
or
the
not,
Q&A.
or anything else, but it's like, they've released this game for free, and they would like you to beta test it for the next 20 years. Like, this is what it feels like. It's like, we might not have gotten all these right, so we figure that if you can tell us the ones that are wrong, then we'll ensure to take those out of the thing, and that way it can only improve. And it's like, it's not a community project, though, guys. This is literally a thing that you own, that you're trying to get other people to improve for you.
And it's like the questions and the sort of research and trivia of Trivial Pursuit, like, that's the thing.
That's what you're depending on.
Like, that's the value proposition. Like, if this is, like, you could just go to, like, ChatGPT and say, ask me questions about, goats.
Yeah.
and
tell
that
me if I
will
get
do,
the answer
and
right.
presumably it will be just as good.
Yeah.
Like it's, and I think, and anybody who does like say, pub trivia, or is a big trivia, like Kathleen or anybody who's a big trivia person will tell you that like crafting a good trivia question and a good batch of trivia questions is not something that you just do off the cuff like that. Can be a quite sophisticated process, the crafting of the questions, and
Because you have to.
and creating a sort of progression of difficulty, and doling out how to do the different things, and matching the difficulty of the question to your audience and this kind of stuff. Like
Yeah.
there is a real there's a real skill there, and so by sort of relegating it to an AI thing, they're just sort of like, it's fine.
Can we not find a way to use AI to do things like clean the ocean, or like a bunch of things that are actually useful but is really hard for people to do?
No. Nope. AI only gets to
Can
do.
we maybe get the creative things to be done by people?
I'm
Nope.
really.
AI is going to be making paintings and writing poems, and we're going to be the ones cleaning the ocean. That's how it works.
I mean, the one saving grace of this is also baked into that thing where it's like Hasbro wishes or hopes that players will want to rate these questions. And I'm like, well, it's certainly within the fans of trivia to decide whether or not a question is correct or not. And hey, maybe you run across something you're like, yes, why don't we let that be the answer today? Yes, I'll upvote that question. And you can do whatever you want to that batch of AI generated questions, and you can definitely help Hasbro improve this product.
Yeah, if there's places like whatever. It's like what happens to like the AI chatbots, that they get like immediately turn into horrible
Racists and bigots, yeah.
but because they're they're reflecting stuff that gets thrown at them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's that thing of like there's stuff that you can outsource and things that you can automate in a business, but in the case of say Trivial Pursuit, like the questions is the thing, right? Like that's the central piece. Like you can outsource the printing of the cards or all the stuff, but like the questions is the value proposition that you're proposing. If you no longer even have that,
right,
then there's no impetus for anybody to do your thing.
And I get the push to be like, well, the nice thing is we can be updating these questions all the time so they can always be true, because if you play an old version of Trivial Pursuit, and like my favorite, I know there's lots of examples, but my favorite is like, which of these actors did not play Batman? And it's Adam West, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, and Ben Affleck. And I'm like, well,
yeah, what year
too
was
bad.
this game made? Yeah, it's we ran into that issue.
Wow, what are the odds that they would choose? There aren't that many people who played
we were
Batman.
playing like a Disney Trivial Pursuit style game, and it was so old that it would say things like, what is the top like whatever Disney movie, or what is like this other thing, but it includes like all these Disney properties, and we were all like, when was this game made? Because that's really gonna change our answer a lot.
You might as well just start asking, who's your favorite Disney character? And then everyone moves forward a space, and it's like,
it's really hard.
What's the
I mean, all that really says to me is that trivia style games are really good and geared towards the idea of being a digital kind of game that can have those questions updated, by people.
Yeah.
People who care.
Yeah. I mean, like, an AI can certainly, like, check for stuff, but it's like ultimately, because you could go back and be like, well, this question is no longer true because it contradicts to whatever. I'm like, but these aren't AIs that are building the question. These are large language models. These are not fully artificial general intelligence. We're not going to get to that point until we actually start making AGI. But
Yeah,
Anyway.
I mean, it doesn't help that this is a Hasbro game and they laid off like a bazillion people
It's
just
not
before
going
the
down very
holidays.
well, no.
You know,
If you want trivia, play You Don't Know Jack. Our friends at Jackbox, they do a good job.
That's true.
Yeah.
Again, part of, not only fun facts, but the way the questions are asked and everything is part of the enjoyment of the process.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so that is
is that it?
there's
no more gaming news, Paul?
All the news that exists.
I mean, I suppose it's like the first week of January.
Yeah.
We don't really get gaming news till what, like the end of January? Is that when people start to F up again? Or
Yeah.
do things? Or actually talk about
I feel like
things?
it's less that people like have stopped messing up and more that
Well,
the
they're
people
on break, so
the
they're not public about their mess ups.
yeah, either they're not at work, so they have no opportunity to mess up, or the people writing about people messing up aren't at work. So once everybody comes back to work, there'll be the backlog of everything that got messed up over the break.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I heard you finished Tears of the Kingdom. Have you figured out your new game yet?
I have not, although
He hasn't finished Tears of the Kingdom, so we can't talk about the ending.
Do you want me to
Although-
just leave?
No, because I don't want to ruin the ending for anyone else who hasn't done it.
Good point.
I really like the ending. I think it's really cool.
We'll say and Guardians of the Galaxy, the
It's free right now, isn't it?
is currently on Epic for free. That's the game that is actually pretty good, it's the game that what was the other that the Avenger, there was like the
Marvel's
Avengers,
Avengers.
the Marvel's Avengers live service game was so bad that that Guardians of the Galaxy kind of got pulled down in the undertow of it crashing, because everyone was like, "Oh, it's just the same game."
So
Yeah.
here's the thing too with the Marvel's Avengers game. There's a single player mode with a story about Miss Marvel or Marvel Kamala. That is actually supposed to be pretty decent, but all of their marketing and everything was hyped towards the online service thing that nobody wanted and people were upset about. In fact, I remember that E3 because that was the E3 they went up on stage and they were like, "Oh, there'll be this character and this character and this character," and the entire crowd was like, "What about Hawkeye?" And they didn't want to talk about it, and that crowd was eating them alive. It was terrifyingly awful. And and because of all of that marketing and everything, Guardians of the Galaxy, people are like, we don't know. We saw what happened with the last one.
And it sort of has it looks kind of similar, and so everyone was like, "Oh, well, it's just going to be more of that crap." And apparently it's pretty good. So
I bought Marvel's Avengers
I might
for
check
like
that out.
$5 before because I think they were taking it down, so that I could play the solo thing. Because I don't care about the rest of that. But I've heard good things about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, so I might check that out. I did also get Super Mario RPG from my brother.
That's also supposed to be very
the
good.
re-release, or the not even a re-release, the remaster, whatever you want to call it, remake. Although at the moment my Joy-Cons are being repaired because the battery crapped out, so I'll probably go play a PC game.
We can probably get them back in like a week or so. We're pretty close to
Pretty good
the.
turnaround.
Yeah.
We're pretty close to the thing, so the turnaround's pretty
Yeah,
good and the
probably.
mail's pretty fast.
All right. Well, let's say thank you to all you awesome people who joined us today. And if you haven't seen the episode of ChillPoint that's up yet, you should go check that out. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's probably linked to somewhere near this video, like in the sidebar or something.
Maybe you just like stumbled across it, like fell down some stairs because we put the video like on the second step, which was really, really inconvenient. But you watched it. So
I will talk to all y'all later.
Friday Night's Kickstarter at lrr.cc/Friday Nights if you want to see us make more Friday Nights.
Yes, do that.